want to ask you, Director Patel, how many FBI agents have been reassigned to work on immigration enforcement?
No one at the FBI has been reassigned to work solely on immigration, ma'am.
Well, I would differ with you because according to the Cato Institute, more than 2,000 FBI agents were reassigned to work on immigration enforcement in 2025. By the way, it's not just the FBI. More than 2,000 agents from the DEA, more than 600 from the Marshals Service, and more than 1,000 ATF agents are spending their time on immigration enforcement.
On May 12, 2026, Kash Patel came to the Senate to request $12.53 billion for the FBI. He opened his testimony by listing the results. A 20-point drop in the homicide rate, 45,000 violent offenders arrested, twice as many as 2024. 2,450 criminal gangs disrupted, 6,900 child victims located, 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world caught in 14 months. He said, "The mission has never been better," but the request itself told a different story. While Patel was asking for $12.53 billion to fund the FBI's core missions, counterterrorism, counterintelligence, violent crime, the overall Trump budget he was presenting alongside proposed cutting the programs that fund those missions and redirecting that money to war spending. $500 billion more for the military. Cuts to the organized crime drug enforcement task forces. The DEA sidelined from its own budget process. There was also a question about what the FBI's agents were actually doing with the resources Congress had already given them. The Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank, not a Democratic opposition group, had reviewed the FBI's own data. It found that more than 2,000 FBI agents had been reassigned to work on immigration enforcement in 2025. Not just the FBI, more than 2,000 DEA agents, more than 600 from the Marshals Service, and more than 1,000 ATF agents were also working on immigration, pulled from drug investigations, violent crime cases, and terrorism work. That morning, Brian Driscoll, a decorated FBI special agent with nearly 2 decades of service, gave an interview. He said Patel had made clear that his future at the FBI depended on his political loyalty to Donald Trump. Senator Patty Murray of Washington is the ranking member of the full Senate Appropriations Committee. She came to this hearing with the Cato Institute's numbers, the Driscoll interview, reports of branded bourbon being distributed at FBI events, and a simple question. If this budget is about protecting the mission, why don't the resources match the stated priorities? Here is what she asked.
I want to start by recognizing important work by the FBI to crack down on fraud. In one case, the FBI helped bring justice multiple former business owners who orchestrated a $205 million Medicare fraud scheme on the American people. And those business owners filed nearly 1 million false claims for services that they never provided any patients, literally stealing from American taxpayers and preying on vulnerable people who were suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia and substance abuse. But thanks to the FBI, those crooks were held accountable. So I just wanted to ask you today if you would pass along my gratitude to those FBI agents for their tireless work bringing those criminals to justice.
I will, ma'am. The fraud work is often overlooked, and I greatly appreciate that.
And very important. But I do have to say, unfortunately, President Trump, the guy who says he's going after fraud, granted this man, Lawrence Duran, clemency last June. He was set free and let off the hook for the $87 million he owed in restitution. And Trump granted clemency to Duran's business partner last February, cutting well short her 35-year prison term. He literally undid the important justice work the FBI served and let fraudsters off the hook, and I find that deeply disturbing. With that, I want to say I want to take a moment to reiterate the important role of DOJ law enforcement in keeping all of us safe. Those agents and deputy marshals are absolutely critical to making sure public safety and solving crime. But I worry that instead of pursuing these child abusers or terrorists or drug traffickers or other criminals, you have our agents spending time carrying out Stephen Miller's mass deportation agenda and harassing families and children. I want to ask you, Director Patel, how many FBI agents have been reassigned to work on immigration enforcement?
No one at the FBI has been reassigned to work solely on immigration, ma'am.
Well, I would differ with you because according to the Cato Institute, more than 2,000 FBI agents were reassigned to work on immigration enforcement in 2025. By the way, it's not just the FBI. More than 2,000 agents from the DEA, more than 600 from the Marshal Service, and more than 1,000 ATF agents are spending their time on immigration enforcement. That has really pulled critical, highly trained assets off of work to keep our communities safe from drugs and guns and other threats, and I find that deeply disturbing. Now, Director Patel, I want to ask you about a number of extremely troubling stories recently about your leadership and temperament and what's happened to the FBI with you at the top. And in response to all the concerns about your leadership, instead of righting the ship, you've taken to polygraphing your employees to scare them and attempt to rat out leakers. There are reports that you're using FBI resources to investigate journalists for reporting what's going on, and that is absolutely not what this committee intended when we funded the Bureau. So can you commit to this committee today that no agent hours have been pulled from other work like counterterrorism or violent crime investigations to work on matters related to negative press about you or your personal lawsuit?
Senator, I greatly appreciate the question, and I can tell you unequivocally, this FBI is targeting and investigating no journalists. This FBI is targeting no journalists. The Obama and Biden administrations targeted dozens of journalists, sent out 1,200 interviews.
I didn't ask you about the Biden administration. I asked
well,
if you can commit to this committee that no agent hours have been pulled from other work.
We have not done so.
Okay, well, there are reports that are using FBI resources to investigate journalists. You are saying to this committee today that that is not true.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, well, let me just say, Director Patel, we need a serious budget, but we also need serious leadership. And I will say this, there's one clear priority in Trump's overall budget, and it isn't law and order, it is war. Because while Trump is proposing cuts to programs that really do keep people safe, he wants to increase war spending by $500 billion. And I don't need to tell anyone here we are not going to bomb our way to safer communities. So I intend to help rip that budget up and write bills that keep families safe. But beyond that budget, we need serious leadership at the FBI that the American people can trust. And I am deeply concerned about the reports that your leadership has not been serious. We need somebody at this agency who's focused on solving criminal cases, not passing out branded bourbon or jetting around the globe. Your job is to be reachable. And I know Senator Van Hollen asked you about this, but I gotta say, if you want to pass out liquor or pop bottles in a locker room, stick to podcasting, leave law and order to people who really do care about justice and appearances. That is really critical. And it's what I am really deeply concerned about, and so are many people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I respond? This is what real leadership looks like at the FBI. Every one of you was given it. This is what's happened under my tenure at the FBI and the Trump administration. 20-point drop in the homicide rate, 45,000 violent offenders arrested last year, twice as many as 2024, 2,450 criminal gangs disrupted, that's a 322% increase from 2024, 6,900 child victims have been located since I've been in the seat, that's a 144% increase, 2,900 child predators and human traffickers arrested, that's a 70% increase, and we've arrested 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world in 14 months, that's twice as many in the 4 years combined. reassigned. That is what the men and women of the FBI are doing, well-resourced. Everyone should take a look at this. If people want to continue the baseless, fraudulent, false personal attacks at me, that's great. Keep the target on me, as I've always said, but the mission has never been better.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just respond.
Senator Murray.
I appreciate the work of our FBI agents, but leadership, serious leadership, is a concern. And we are seeing the pictures of passing out branded bourbon and what happened at the Olympics, and jetting around the globe and all the rest of it. And that, I will say again, Mr. Chairman, is of deep concern to me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Director Cicada, you hold a position of public trust. Do you agree that you should lead by example and be held to at least the same standard of conduct as you expect of ATF agents?
Yes, sir.
And would you agree that if one of your agents was unable to perform his or her duties because of excessive drinking, you would need to take corrective action or disciplinary measures?
Yes, sir.
Director Seralta, same question for you with respect to the U.S. Marshal Service. Do you agree with the responses from Director Cicada?
Ranking Member Van Hollen, that would be correct. I would do that after a thorough investigation by our internal affairs.
Administrator Cole, same question to you with respect to the DEA.
Yes, sir. I would echo what Rod and Gaddy have said. After a thorough review by our OPR, Office of Professional Responsibility, yes, sir.
Director Patel, do you agree with these three gentlemen as the
Yes,
head
sir.
of the FBI? So you agree, Director Patel, that if one of your agents was unable to perform his or her duties because of excessive drinking, you would need to take corrective or disciplinary action. You agree with that statement?
We would implement the inspection review process, just like these other agencies have their own internal investigations, and complete that review.
As I said in my opening remarks, I really don't care about your personal life so long as you are able to perform your public and official responsibilities, which are awesome responsibilities. Multiple reports, including reporting by The Atlantic, have alleged episodes of excessive drinking, unexplained absences, and behavior that concern current and former FBI and DOJ officials. You have publicly denied those allegations and filed a defamation lawsuit. So today, as you testify before Congress, is it your testimony that those allegations are categorically false?
Unequivocally, categorically false.
So there have been no occasions during your tenure when FBI personnel were unable to promptly reach you?
Absolutely not. You can ask my entire workforce. They hear from me at every single hour of the day, as do these great gentlemen here, as do the men and women of the interagency and state and local law enforcement and the White House.
And so there have been no occasions when your security detail had difficulty waking or locating you, is that right?
Nope, it's a total farce. I don't even know where you get this stuff, but it doesn't make it credible because you say so.
I'm not saying it, Director Patel. It's been written and documented.
You are literally saying it.
No, I'm saying that these are reports, Director Patel.
No,
And
unlike
I
your
will
baseless
say,
reports,
Director
the only person
Patel-
that was slinging margaritas in El Salvador on the taxpayer dollar with a convicted gangbanging rapist was you.
You know, the
only
fact-
person that
the-
ran up a
Director
$7,000 bar tab in Washington, D.C. at
This
the lobby
suggests
bar
to me-
was you. So
this
the only
suggests
individual
to
in this
me that
room
the
that has
allegations
been
are
drinking on
true.
taxpayer dime during
Are
the day
you polygraphing?
is you.
Director Patel, come on. These are serious allegations that were made against you.
The
They're in a
allegations
lawsuit
are
that you
false.
filed.
You drinking margaritas with a
Yeah,
gangbanger
actually,
is true and on
it
video.
just goes to show you don't-
running a $7,000
this goes-
bar tab at the lobby bar
Director Patel,
has been filed by your own
this
office.
goes to show-
drink during the day. That's
Chairman,
you.
Mr.
This is
Chairman,
the ultimate example of hypocrisy.
Chairman,
I will not be tarnished by baseless allegations
let me
and
ask the
fraudulent statements
questions.
from the media.
The fact that you mentioned that indicates you don't know what you are talking about. Now, here, Director
The only thing I
Patel-
know is you're the one drinking margaritas with felons.
Actually, that's a false statement, and I'm asking you about your statements.
I've answered that.
And I'm asking you about a particular report. And
It's
it
not a
is your
report.
testimony. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to take the test, that it's called the audit test, that members of our active duty military and others take to determine whether they have a drinking problem?
I'll take any test you're willing to take.
I will take it, Director Patel. I'll take it. You ready to take it?
Let's go.
Yes or no?
Let's go. Side
I'll
by
take it.
side.
I'll take it. All right. I think that the fact that you're so, have you ordered polygraph tests of members of your team to determine how that story came about?
The FBI conducts polygraph tests all the time.
No, have you ordered polygraph tests for members of your team to determine who was the source of the stories that I'm asking you about?
I don't order any polygraph tests. There's an internal inspection review process for any and all leaks, especially of baseless information at the FBI, that's been in place for the last 30 years. Those processes are followed by career intelligence and agents on the ground.
So I'll take that as a yes, since you said that these were unauthorized disclosures.
Patel told the Senate he needed $12.53 billion. He said the mission had never been better. He said no one at the FBI had been reassigned to work solely on immigration. The Cato Institute said 2,000 agents had been. Murray said, "I would differ with you." Van Hollen said Patel was asking for more resources while misspending the resources he already had on political revenge, firing the Iran counterintelligence unit, polygraphing employees, directing FBI resources toward journalists who covered him critically. Murray said the one clear priority in Trump's overall budget was not law and order. It was war. $500 billion more for the military. Cuts to the programs that fund the work Patel was citing in his opening statement as proof the mission had never been better. Patel responded with a list of arrests. 2,000 agents pulled from violent crime, drug trafficking, and terrorism. A decorated agent fired the morning of the hearing for insufficient political loyalty. A budget that cuts the programs funding the results being used to justify it. Patel said, "Keep the target on me. The mission has never been better. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The cover the records, not just the moments.